Hi everybody, welcome back to the Over Smiling Faces podcast on the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel, which is now part of 90 Minute Football Podcast Network. Evening, boys. How are you all doing?
Yeah, I'm great, thanks. Sorry.
I'm doing very well.
So yeah, little bit of an inside joke. Before we just press live, so we do apologise for Deka giggling like a schoolgirl already.
Yeah, that was funny.
Boys, actually, first things first. Deka, say those words.
I was going to say something. You knew what I was going to say, didn't you, Mum?
Yeah.
Sorry, apologise. But when you're not, get in.
And Deka,
Yes.
say the next words.
Hello, Jamie Lee.
No.
You don't want us to say that. Sorry. What did you
The
want us to say?
the next one was, we're safe, you know. It looks
Oh,
like
yes,
we're
of
safe.
course. Yes.
It looks
We're
like
safe,
we're
you
safe.
know.
So
Yes, it does.
as we record this, Fulham are 2-0 down against Burnley. So it looks like it's all but done. We're not smiling and being happy because of that. But yeah. Right, boys. You did the live watch along. I didn't make it, and it looks like I'm not going to make another one because of that. But what a
Seems only
game!
fair.
What a game to miss! I'll tell you that. I did watch it. I was in the chat most of them, just giving Mark little elbows, little nudges right the way through the chat to keep him on track.
Kept putting us off.
So I'll start with you, Mark. Sum that up.
I don't even know how you sum it up. It was unexpected genius. That's the
Careful.
the best way I can
Genius.
do it. Like
Genius.
it was just unsuspected genius.
All right, okay. Who you calling
Was-
genius? Let's clear this one up.
The performance.
All right, okay, yeah.
Joe
That's
Willock.
good. Joe Willock, yeah. So, Besty,
Joe.
you mentioned him. So, Joe Willock. A lot of people have been calling for him to start games because obviously the impact that he's had coming off the bench. I wouldn't say he single-handedly kept us in the Premier League because obviously there's been a lot of players involved. I think without Saint, without Callum Wilson, without Dubravka, would have been relegated a long time ago. But Willock has been a breath of fresh air. Of course he has. But he got his chance starting. I think, was that his second or his third start so far since he came to the club? Can't be many. And he delivered.
Yeah, big style. I mean, the way that he pickpocketed Soyuncu for their first goal. I mean, he's anticipated the heavy touch, so he's put him under pressure. He's dropped his arse, Soyuncu, nipped in, and it's a good finish as well. And it's something we've kind of praised Joe Willock for. He's the timing of his runs into the box. We always say that we've had it missing for a long time, where he'll come in maybe a bit later and he'll kind of get on the edge of a cutback or a bit of a loose one. But that one, he was applying the pressure on the last man, and it paid off. Couple of touches, bottom corner, champion. It was really, really promising, and I thought he was superb, particularly in the first hour or so.
Yeah, you're right. Deka.
I know.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, mate, yours right. You threw us off there. Deka.
Yes, mate.
First 10 minutes, though, were you worried? Because we looked pretty dreadful in the first 10 minutes.
Well, it was quite funny actually, because I think it was 7-8 minutes, and I said to the lads I was watching it with, I was like, Christ, this is really bad. We couldn't string a pass together. We look nervous. We look like what we are, what we have been under Steve Bruce. That's what we look like, and I feared for the worst. And ironically, I think after saying that sentence, all of a sudden we're like Barcelona. But it was funny. It was funny how that happened. But I mean, obviously, to touch on Willock there, I think I was a bit worried of having him in a central midfield too, but that didn't seem to be the case. To be fair, the way it worked out, but he was absolutely phenomenal. He really was.
I did a preview with a Leicester fan channel just a few days before the game. I think it was on Thursday night, and just basically said, Kris, what's your expectations of this game? And I was honest, I went, usual probably walk past us. I honestly couldn't see anything other than Leicester taking it to us and absolutely embarrassing us more than what Arsenal did. And I was just, I think the question was asked about Willock, and I said I'm trying to figure out what his position is, if he's that centre midfielder, or if he's further up the field as in like attacking midfielder, something on number 10. And I was the same as you, Deka. I was quite worried to see him alongside Shelby as well. If he had been playing in a three centre midfielders, I would have been a lot more confident. But he just went and proved me wrong. He really did. And I'll stay with you, Deka. Is he playing for a move away from Arsenal, or is he trying to prove a point to Arsenal now?
Oh, that's a good question.
If the option was there, so if Arsenal turned around and said, right, we can give you game time next season, more game time than what you have been, and you've got Newcastle on the other hand saying, we can guarantee you that you're going to be starting games, which option do you think Joe would take?
Well, I think for most players, when they go on loan, I think it's to show the parent club what they can do. At times, certainly a young player. I mean, obviously there is sometimes likes of there'll be older players that maybe go out on loan and they're trying to impress to get away. I do feel in Willock's case, I think that probably he's thinking I can show Arsenal what I can do. Yeah. And I think if he was kind of promised more minutes, not every game, of course, but if he was promised more minutes, I think he would stay at Arsenal. He'd be quite happy with that. But it's been a stroke of genius, I think the loan has, to be fair. And I can't remember many loan signings in such a short space of time really hitting the ground running so quickly.
Considering he hasn't been.
I was at Townsend and also...
we're signing Townsend. We're signing him.
We signed him. Yeah.
Kennedy as well, obviously, in his first season, and we know how that one turned out.
Yeah. Remy, maybe.
Remy. He's been a huge success.
Mark, what's your thoughts on Willock? Do you think he'll be a Newcastle player next season?
You know what? I think very much when he took the loan, it was, as you suggest, it was to get himself some minutes, get himself in the spotlight, to be able to force himself into the Arsenal team and try and get a run of games in the midfield there. But what I would say is I think the way that we've kind of warmed to him, as we generally do when we have players that, you know, put in a bit of effort and put in good performances for us, we appreciate that and we show them that love, and he's definitely seen that. He seems to have struck up a little bit of a rapport. Obviously, he does these little things on NUFC TV after the match. Come on the Maggies and stuff like that, and I think he's coming round to the idea of actually wanting to stay. I think he likes it, and the fact that he hasn't played in front of fans yet, I think will have a big impact on that. Obviously, going into the last game of the season at home, we're going to have a crowd there, albeit only 10,000, and I think that'll make a bit of a difference to him, because he'll have a fantastic welcome and an appreciation of his performance should he be on the pitch. And I can just see that he's now got some doubts about wanting to go back to Arsenal, because he seems very settled, and I think he'd quite happily stay for another season on loan. And I honestly don't see him getting into that Arsenal team as bad as it is. I think they'll want to go through some rebuilding in the summer. So I think he's far better off staying here, and I think he'd be open to it now.
Do you think players care, though? Do you honestly think players care about the fans warming to them? Did you really think it is? Because we've been in this situation a number of times where you think, oh, this player enjoys playing in front of the Newcastle United crowd and Newcastle fans. Do you think it really makes a difference these days?
I think it depends on the character of the person, doesn't it? Like how they react to it, and you can see he really likes it, because although he was pretty universally liked by the Arsenal fans, he didn't have that kind of relationship, because he didn't have as much of an impact on that team as he has here. Whereas he, as we've seen, he's came in and scored, what is it, five goals in 4 games now, or something like that, or 5 in 5 games. And we've really taken him to heart and appreciate and like that, and we've showed him that love, and I think he's feeling that back. So
I bet their fans have obviously, you know, they must see his name popping up every 5 minutes, scoring goals. In their current state of affairs, I bet they're saying, listen, we need to get this kid back.
It might be similar to the situation we're in, Deka, with the likes of Adam Armstrong and Ivan Toney, where we obviously sold them in the end. Then they started scoring goals, albeit in lower leagues, of course they were. But maybe Arsenal fans looking at that, and I know there's certain Newcastle fans out there thinking, should we bring these lads back? Maybe Arsenal's thinking it's similar.
Yeah, bearing in mind he's doing it in the top level of football,
The Premier League, yeah.
and for a poor side, we are
Yeah.
generally speaking a poor side, so he's doing very well. And also, you have to remember when I mean about being a successful loan signing, he did only sign in January. I believe it was almost the final day of the window. He came on loan, so he hasn't been here 5 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So he hasn't exactly had time to bed in from the beginning of the summer, the first transfer window. So he really has done amazingly well. Like,
yeah, Besty, do you think it'll all go downhill when he goes to Palace?
It depends. I was going to say it depends if Palace stay up, but they are, aren't they? Because relegations are pretty much settled now. I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think. I feel as though I've seen enough of them now to think, I'd like them to stay. It's one of those ones. Arsenal aren't doing very well this season, but like Mark says, is he going to get a game there? The thing about Wood, does it make a difference to players? Like how the fans take to him and stuff. I think that depends on the player. You look at someone like Rob Elliott, who he was first choice keeper for a few years, and he got completely fell all over the place. Didn't he? He loved the Northeast.
Yeah, his mother had a stall at Tynemouth Market. I think she still does.
Right?
Yeah.
Selling
like little
an aquarium things, wasn't it? What are they called?
I didn't know that.
I can't remember the name of them now.
So it's not like a little mini. That's obviously where water is.
Like in a glass bottle thing.
But then you hear
that's got a proper name.
You hear players like, I mean, weirdly enough, Matt Ritchie, who's been excellent the last couple of months, who apparently hates the area, can't wait to get away. There was talk of Hayden a few years ago, although apparently that was down to his
it was
family thing, wasn't it? Yeah, but well, look, I mean, it's if you're a young lad on Arsenal's books, was he 23-year-old, and you see you see what Arsenal are like at the minute. They're not going to be in Europe next year for the first time in a generation. Do you think? I think if I was that age and I would be.
He's 21. Sorry, he's 21. Sorry.
Younger. Yeah, all the more reason for him to think maybe I'm young enough to kind of break into that team and make a difference. I'd like to think he'd stay, but I think Arsenal want him back. I think he's at Newcastle for his experience rather than just to get him off the books as far as Arsenal are concerned.
Yeah. That would make sense. We digressed a little bit. So back to the game. After Joe Willock got that first goal, it was pretty much Newcastle. A lot of it. Obviously, there was a few shots where Dubravka kept us in the game,
excellent.
But he was excellent. But going through the likes of how we performed going forward, and I've said this, and we've all said this for God knows how long. This Newcastle United team is a lot more dangerous than what Steve Bruce is setting them up to be. If we attack teams, then I'm pretty confident that we're going to score goals, 100%, because of this clientele there to do that. And Deka, I'll come to you. Did it annoy you slightly, like how well we played?
Well, this is a funny one. I want to touch on one thing you said there about the problem I've got here is I'm going to sound like I'm defending Bruce here, and this is what people are going to kick off. I agree that we do look dangerous and we can look dangerous, but we have to have these big players on the field. We need Wilson on, we need Saint on, and there was a period of time where I'm sorry, but we didn't have these players. So Joe Linton ain't Wilson, like he just isn't. Like as much as But having said that, it did annoy you slightly because I'm not expecting.
We've seen these players, Deka. We've seen these players on the field at the same time.
I agree. No, I do agree there. And what I would say,
them on the bench as well.
What I would say is that it's just. Well, I'm not expecting to score 4 goals away from home every week. That's not the expectation here. But you could see the plan, couldn't you, of soaking up the pressure and playing real good counter-attacking football. And that's what we are. That's what Rafa made, right? We're a counter-attacking team. We defended really, really well and broke incredibly well.
And I think most fans would accept that, even under Steve Bruce.
Yeah, absolutely. Whereas we haven't even seen that. We've seen players isolated up the top end of the field, one man up front on his own, nobody's around him. Whereas you've seen on that particular night, we were breaking so well. And I understand it's hard to execute all the time. I get that. It's not as easy as that, just break and you'll score loads of goals. But there seemed to be a plan there, certainly a plan on Friday night, and we executed it perfectly. But I do agree with what you're saying, that of course it's annoying to a degree because you're like, this is the well, we'll get into this later about expectation. But this is why we get annoyed as fans, don't we? Is that we know that the players are there, the system is available to be able to execute a game plan well enough and be exciting, be dangerous. And that's when you get so annoyed with the team and everything, when you see them play so poorly. Look at the Arsenal game, for example. How can you have them two? There's just night and day them performances, aren't there? Against Arsenal, then a week later, that performance. And it's the inconsistencies that annoy you so much.
Yeah.
So as good as Friday night was, and I was absolutely buzzing, I still am now. I agree. I still was a little bit annoyed, thinking, Christ, we only see this once every 20 games. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
biggest
I'm
thing
the same.
for me.
No, sorry, Mark. I'm the same, but I wasn't annoyed as what I was from my last game of the season when we beat Spurs 5-1.
5-1, yeah.
Absolutely ran right. I don't even think I celebrated a single goal in that one because that one really pissed us off. That because that was annoying. Obviously, already been relegated. Sorry, Mark, I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
No. I was just going to say that the biggest thing for me was what kind of drew those differences between those two games, like Deka's just said there, was the want and drive from us. If you look at the way that we were closing down that ball, we were chasing them down. We weren't letting Leicester get comfortable on the ball at all, and that led to 2 or 3 goals, putting pressure on their defenders for us to score. Whereas against Arsenal, we were sitting off and we were letting them play and we were letting them close us down. We saw it against Liverpool in other games in the previous weeks where we just sat back and tried to absorb it, whereas we can show when we actually step up the pitch and take the game to them, that allows us to do that counter-attacking because we are much further up the pitch, we're putting them under pressure, we're forcing mistakes, we're forcing errors, which is what's normally happening to us. So if you do that, that gives you then that opportunities to break on it and get more, get these better kind of performances and get us forward and striking. Like what you said, you wouldn't have scored 3 of those goals had it not have been for applying pressure to the defenders, chasing balls down, and that kind of thing. And that's what we've banged on about that for weeks and weeks and months.
Besty, over you. Paul Dummett gets himself on the score sheet, takes his goal really well. The Dummett Defence League has gone all attacking out now. He's when Dummett scored me and you put us 2-0 up. It was scored directly from a corner as well, and I'm thinking,
Richie delivery.
I'm thinking we're going to win this. If Dummett's on the score sheet, we're winning this.
It definitely got more comfortable at that point. But then again, I mean, we talked during the watch along about the West Ham game where we were 2 up at half time with a man up, and we still managed to. I mean, won at the end, but Kris made it difficult in the second half. But yeah, that was the point at which I thought it's actually going really a little bit too well, maybe. But Dummett's first goal was it January 16? Like first goal in 5 years, nearly.
Was it against Liverpool that one? No, Manchester. Was it Man U?
Man United, yeah.
The Liverpool one was October the 19th, 2013.
That was when Colback scored in the same game. Was that one?
2-2 draw. I think Sturridge scored there. It was the day I got married, so that was it's kind of forever etched. But yeah, for Dummett, and he's had a bit of a. I was going to say a rough ride. Recently, he's had a bit of a rough ride since he started his first game for Newcastle. Like a lot of the fans never really took him, and he has been a bit hit and miss. And like this season hasn't been his best by any stretch. But he's someone I like, and I think Dummett's all right. It's good to see him getting a goal. He's just there. He must be the longest serving bloke at the club now, surely.
Yeah,
I think I definitely agree. I think this is my honest opinion of Dummett. When he plays left back in a 4, he gets exploited. Not defensively at all. Not defensively, but it's offensively where let's be realistic here. You're looking at left backs that are bombing forward and creating chances, overlapping. Dummett just doesn't do that. However, when he plays centre half or he plays left side of a 3 of a centre half, you then see the best of him because I'm telling you what it is. He's switched on, but he's incredibly brave as well. He throws himself into any block. He'll head anything for you. He's a real warrior. Like it's exactly what you need. It's just I think when he plays left back, people get frustrated that he can't beat a man. He can't really pass the ball very comfortably, and I think that's when his critics really come in. Do
you know what is a Dummett though? He's got a half decent cross on him as well, which frustrates me a lot because he doesn't like. It seems like he gets to the halfway line, then he doesn't go that little bit further and hide in the box because he does have a decent cross on him. He does.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's the thing that we've seen. I mean, you've just said there about the last time he scored, and that's because generally speaking, when he's played, he's always been that last man. That's kind of stays on the halfway line for to kind of cut down any breaks and stuff like that. Whereas being able to play the way we are with having somebody else kind of to be able to stay back. That allowed him to get up into the box. And I've got to say, like, the way he got up for that header was unbelievable.
Yeah,
He jumped a great height, absolutely towering header, fired it in, brilliant header, and you'd love to see more of that from him.
It's 2 goals as well, Mark. It's like just that game itself. It's 2 goals in 12 minutes from Newcastle. That puts it 2-0 up. Obviously not.
Saint should have scored. Can I say that as well? Sorry, Saint as well.
Mate, I completely forgot about that. Yeah, let's
right at the start, wasn't it?
Because I think I'm obviously when I was watching you lads doing the live watch along, and I didn't necessarily disagree with it was a great save, but Saint needs to bury that. Like, he has to put that in the back of the net.
I think
that's
anybody else, if that's Wilson that misses it, if it's Joe Linton, if he misses it, hell on. Saint has to bury that. Right. Has to bury it.
I think when you have 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper and you whatever he was 6-7 yards out, you are firm favourite. Like, it is a phenomenal save by Schmeichel. It was very much what he's done with him. He just made himself big and kind of cut down the angles. But I mean, you're right. If Joe Linton misses that one, he didn't miss it, did he? If Schmeichel saves that from Joe Linton, then Twitter's up in arms. And
so you've got his legs. Why did he not put it in the corner?
Lift it over the top or something. Yeah. So he really should score. Like, but he probably thinks he's done enough by doing what. I mean, it's Schmeichel's foot. It's not gets in the way.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
He tries to bend it. He tries to bend it round him into the bottom right-hand corner, rather than just putting his boot through it or firing it or something like that. So he is trying to be clever with his finish, but it's that shape. We've all seen it for years and years when his dad used to do come out, make yourself big, and how many times did it come off his leg, his knee, his ankle and stuff like that. And it's that classic Schmeichel pose. Making that save.
I'll also say as well.
At what point when he saved that, do you think he shouted your famous line? At what point did he say it? Was it when he saved it, or was it when he was running out? I think it was running out.
100%. That's Peter. Just straight out.
100%.
But what I would also say about the move is like, you knew that what could hurt them by doing that. That move going forward was brilliant. I mean, Wilson's pass, the run was great by Wilson. He then finds Saint perfectly, man. Saint didn't have to break stride to well, you would think to finish it. You know, it was a really good move
on the edge of our box as well.
Our box,
winning the ball.
That's exactly right. It did, and I thought, it is like as we've mentioned just previously there, that we've got the ability to really break in numbers with pace and hurt teams. What we showed it there, and obviously, of course, the thing is, was when you miss a chance like that, with us being Newcastle, like, we'll probably never get a better chance than that. That's what my opinion or thought was. Yeah. Little did I know we'd run away with it, but
Yeah. No, I'm in full agreement. It's do you know what it is? Saint did have a quiet game, but that's a good thing for us. That Saints had a quiet game, and then we've gone and won and scored 4 goals. Yeah. That's a good thing for us, because we've been too reliant on him for God knows how long now. We really have.
We use the centre of the pitch much more than we normally do. Ordinarily, it is give it a Saint on the left and away he goes. Whereas a lot of stuff went through the middle, through Willock and through Mickey.
I will say, Mark, my personal highlight of that game and the live watch along which you lads did was the first few seconds where we get the kickoff and John Joe Shelby just pings it towards Schmeichel, and you just goes, John Joe Shelby, he's done his usual thing, but this time it's gone at the keeper. What a personal highlight, because we all saw it coming.
We were just
never change that
happen directly from the kickoff. It actually had a couple of little passes around before it got launched. So
but we're winning at half time, 2-0 up, and come out second half, and it's more the same. It's Newcastle getting the chances, and I'm saying that, I really am. But I think we'll have to have a special mention for Dubravka here. We really do, because Dubravka keeps that score sheet, keeps his clean sheet for quite a long time in that game. And some of the saves
Madison free kick that took that deflection and just went wide. That was not long after half time, and that could have made the difference. In that second half.
Dubravka, this is why Dubravka is our number 1 goalkeeper, because he has these sort of performances where he stands out for all the wrong reasons, because your goalkeeper shouldn't have to make those sort of saves. He really shouldn't. And we're very, very, I don't want to say reliant, on Dubravka. But I think if Dubravka's not between the sticks in that game, we don't win. I'll come with you, Besty, because you are a goalkeeper.
I don't know. He made a couple of good saves in the first half, but they were probably saves that a keeper should make. Like there was the one from a pretty close in header that he did well with, but he gets down well, but
Fofana.
he should get Fofana. And I think it was a shot from Fofana as well that he dealt with pretty well. The big one,
Madison had a long range one as well.
Yeah, that was like straight down his throat, wasn't it? Really early on, I think that one was the big one. And I mean, it was a 4-2 at the time, but it was when Perez goes through towards the end.
Oh,
that's every bit as good as Schmeichel's in the first half for me.
Sorry, Alan, see that sticker Alan's got there, Cordoni.
Daniel Cordoni,
Absolutely class, that.
Right.
Yeah,
Sorry,
are just listening to the audio. There's a sticker just came on
sorry.
screen.
sorry.
But that save from Perez is every bit as good as Schmeichel's from St. Maximin in the first half. Like he doesn't really know much about it, but he comes out, he does what a keeper's got to do, gets in his face, makes himself big, and it's really hard for Perez to beat him from there. Like so that
there's another one as well.
If they score there and it gets a 4-3, then you're in trouble. Like
it's probably the bet that I told you all to put on was the Jamie Vardy shot on target. And Dubravka makes himself big on that one as well. Comes out and
he tried to chip him, wasn't it?
Yeah, he tries to chip him.
Was he offside for that one? Or was that?
No, Cameron does a shot on target, so it wouldn't have been offside. No.
Yeah, he wasn't
that's
offside,
the one. Yeah, it must have been something else. I was thinking.
Yeah.
I thought I did think he played very well. What I would say is as much as I know a lot of people say after the game he's man of the match. I hope this comes across right. There's games where he's getting man of the match. And my God, he is saved. Does that make sense? Like, I'll go back to his debut when we played Man United at home. He must have saved about 50 shots, it felt like. Yeah. Whereas this game, he maybe saved 2 or 3 that were real good chances. But what I'll also say there, you are playing a top 4 side away from home. You're playing 3rd in the league at that point.
Yeah.
If you're going to get a result, your goalkeeper has to play well. That's how, when you go to a team and get like that, your goalkeeper has to play well. Whereas what annoys me is when we play Sheffield United, we're relying on Dubravka to keep winning the game. That shouldn't be the case when you're playing opposition like that.
Yeah.
But I understand it when you're playing against a really good side that, we need a keeper to be good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you're right. So let's go through the rest of it. Callum Wilson, he's back in the team. He's been back in the team for a couple of games now. And he does it again. Grabs 2. When was it? I've got the minutes here. So 64th minute and 73rd minute. And he's just, honestly, for 20 million quid, and I know he's had his injuries, but even with those injuries, £20 million on Callum Wilson is an absolute steal.
Yeah.
Mark.
It just shows, I mean, particularly the third one, like when obviously Richie plays that long ball, lovely ball, again from the edge of our box. We pick it up and he hits it out, and Wilson is straight onto it, looking to get in behind Cassagna, I think it is, and he makes a mess of it. But it comes from the pressure that Wilson's putting him under, and then from that moment on, well, it's classic Wilson, isn't it? He just gets the ball, runs at the goal, takes that little touch. I mean, Schmeichel, although we've just praised him for his save before, he's so flat-footed as Wilson's coming towards him. It just makes it so easy for him just to knock the ball wide of him and put it in. And it's just a lovely striker's finish.
This is probably what Wilson does, Mark. I will stay with you, but this is probably what Wilson does, where if I'm a goalkeeper and Callum Wilson's running at me, I'm not confident. I'm really not confident at saving those shots. I'm not, because he is clinical, isn't he? When you think about it,
that's the word. That is the word. And as he said in his post-match comments, he loves situations like that because he backs himself every time to score, and you saw that confidence in him. He has got that little bit of arrogance that you need to be at that top level, and the belief in your performance and your skill and ability. And when he's just going through there, and like you said, the way he saw Schmeichel was standing, he knew he was going to score. Yeah. And it was just lovely, just poetry in motion. Just that little touch away from the defender, and once he gets that little bit of space, as a defender, you've got 2 options here. You've either got to clip his heels and take him down, or you watch him go, and you've got to just see him running away from you, because you ain't catching him. He's just too quick.
See, for me, this is where football, as an owner or a manager or whatever, it's not all that complicated at times, right? That if you can you pay the big money for someone that's going to put the ball in the back of the net, and this is where Newcastle fans for years, right, have said, we need a proven goal scorer. We've had the same debate for so long, right? And that's why they cost so much money. Or I'm not saying 20 million is much money, but in general, they normally cost the most. If you can get a player that puts the ball in the back of the net, you've got no problems of going down. That's for starters.
Yeah. That's why they cost the big bucks, isn't it?
I've seen a statistic there that he's had 20 shots on target and scored 12 goals. Now that is clinical. That is clinical. And it's a fantastic bit of business. And I said when we signed him, I'm sure I sat with you lads and said, it's the type of player that I would expect Villa to get or an Everton to get or a team like that. And I would have been sitting back going, we should be going for a player like that. And for once, we were the team that bought him. And it's paid massive dividends for us.
Bessie, this is a great comment that's came in. I think it sums up it pretty well. So it comes in there saying, 99% on my way to celebrating when Wilson is one-on-one. You agree with it, don't you?
Totally, and I was thinking it's very similar to what I was thinking when Mark was talking earlier on there when he's doing a goal. And the comparison I was going to make was with Patrick Cisse, who, bless him, was a fantastic instinctive finisher. But if he's one-on-one with a goalkeeper, you know he's not going to do it. He's going to put it over. He's going to trip over his laces. Something's going to happen. Where Wilson, he's just got that kind of. He's almost kind of brutal because you know what's going to happen. He's either going to leather it and it's going to burst in net, or what he did. He's kind of the thing with Schmeichel on Friday night there. He's kind of coming across him, and as a goalkeeper, it's really hard. It's not because he's got the momentum going that way. So you've either got to take the risk and try and cut him off that way, at which point you just nappies in. And but you know, as soon as he's running at him, but he picks the ball up, 35 yards out maybe, running a goal, you think, well, it's you don't count your chickens because he hit the post, doing it later on, so doesn't.
I was just about to say that.
But yeah, it's you just know that you're convinced he's going to score. And what the lads are saying, how long has it been since we've got a transfer like that right? We've been linked with blokes of a similar kind of stature, if you want, of a similar ability, and just haven't come through for it, and I haven't signed at all. And this one,
you're probably looking at the last two. You're probably looking at, I would say, Demba Ba. What was he? Was it 6 million or something like that? Wasn't much for Demba, if I remember right.
7, I think, from West Ham, when they went down.
You probably look at Cisse, and Cisse was a massive gamble, but his first season, obviously, he went and absolutely performed outstanding.
That first half of the season was absolutely incredible.
Oh, I've never seen anything like it. Bessie, though, sticking with Callum Wilson, do you think he's got an outside chance now of making any form of international appearances?
I think he's got I wouldn't say an outside chance. I mean, they're extending, they're having 26-man squads for the Euros now, aren't they?
Yeah.
And I've not seen as far as kind of English goal scorers in the Premier League go, you've got Harry Kane, you've got Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who are like out-and-out strikers. As a striker, he's got to be third top. I can't think of Ollie Watkins, maybe. Is he in the hunt? Bit younger as well, Watkins, so...
Yeah, I think as well.
I'm not taking anything away from the likes of Harry Kane or anything by saying this, but I think if Southgate was to include somebody like Callum Wilson, then I think the teams that he's going to be up against, he's going to be quite unknown, really. And like we've said, if he's clinical for Newcastle United, imagine what he's going to be like in a half-decent team when he gets more chances. When
you've got like Raheem Sterling and Jadon Sancho or Jack Grealish giving you the bullets, obviously, as a Newcastle fan, some Newcastle fans don't seem to like Newcastle players playing for England. I love to see it, mate. I'd be delighted for him to go. We've had Paul McManus there saying Wilson won't make the England squad. Mason Greenwood, Patrick Bamford, Kane, Watkins, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin will be the strikers. And it's a bit like, can you remember in the 90s when we had like Shearer, Sheringham, and then behind them you had Ian Wright, Robbie Fowler, Michael Owen was coming through. You had Chris Armstrong.
Kevin Phillips didn't make it.
Chris Armstrong, you had Stan Collymore. You had blokes who would 5 years down the line have been England regulars who couldn't get in because of the standard. And in Harry Kane, we've got one of the best strikers that we've seen in our generation there, So I think, it might be that he's unlucky. I think that was a really good point to say. You've got like Watkins, Bamford, a bit of an embarrassment of riches at the minute with English strikers. It's nice to see. Of course,
he's got experience on his side, though, hasn't he? When you look at some of those names, they're very especially Watkin and Greenwood, very very young. Bamford's youngish. So
he's about 27, Bamford.
Yeah. I love how you didn't know how old he was, so you just put ish on the end of young.
Youngish. He's a youngish man.
And you've got that bloke at Villa he's like Grealish as well. No,
Well done.
Is he Jewish?
Bamford's been around for quite a while, but I
Yeah, around the lower leagues, wasn't he?
but I
It's
think
funny with Bamford. Like I would have never thought he would have, been at a level to represent England. I've got to be honest, but he's done fabulous. To be fair, this season
he looked really good. I forget where he was on loan. It might have been when he was at Borough or beforehand. He was at Norwich.
He was at Borough, wasn't he? Yeah.
He's at Palace. Was he at Palace as well? He's done the rounds.
He's a few teams.
He's 27-year-old. He's really done well at Leeds, but it took well. He's doing okay-ish. But But I think out of that list of players, you've got obviously the big ones will be Kane, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the way they've been this season.
Absolutely.
And I think Southgate being who he is, he probably has a look at Mason Greenwood and thinks, tournament experience, looking at the future, looking at the World Cup next year or the Euros in 3 years' time, and takes him instead. So I think he would go with someone younger, Southgate, and maybe he's right too. I don't know.
I think if Wilson hadn't getting injured, and Wilson had continued the form that he's done pretty much every time he's been fit, I actually think he would have been really knocking on the door. I just think that injury is what's maybe took him off the radar.
He's on 12 goals now, I think. Then 12, we've still got 3 games left, so he might get a couple more in that time. We might end up close to the 15 figure there. Like so,
Rashford and Sterling as well. Although they're not kind of out and out strikers, they're definitely forward players, aren't they? To chuck into the mix there as well.
I think you've got to take Rashford. I mean, Rashford's a fantastic player.
I think they're not getting talked about, but for me, he plays as a striker for Man United, doesn't he? That's where he's gonna play. He can. I mean, you've obviously got Cavani up front, and Rashford quite often plays on the wing, like. But he's good enough to. I mean, he scores goals, doesn't he, Rashford? He doesn't miss a few as well, man.
Sorry, Deka. Carry on, mate.
I know we've talked about Wilson's ability to score a goal, which of course is very important as a striker. But he is a very, very good footballer, though. Overall, he brings more than just goals. He really does. He holds the ball up well. He works the channels well. He's very, very intelligent. He really is good.
And that's where I'm saying that experience comes from. That some of the others that are being mentioned don't have. But
I think the modern game is more about the young ones, mate, because they've got no fear and all the rest of it. There's a lot more going towards the young players now, where I think they play with a bit more freedom. I feel that's what managers feel and coaches think more, but I may be wrong.
But you think of Owen, don't you? Owen, when he came in the England squad and he made himself against Argentina, didn't he? So,
but I think the thing with Wilson, of course, we're talking about the younger players there. But what Wilson has, which a lot of these won't have, is that confidence and that arrogance. And I think you definitely need that. You need it at club football, but I think you need it even more in international football. You have to be up your own arse, basically.
Well, I would take him over Watkins. I have to be fair here. The list I've just seen on there, there's no way I would take Watkins over Wilson. But maybe that's because I don't say enough of Watkins, right? Maybe I'm just being biased. Probably I am. But personally speaking, if you give me the option of Wilson or Watkins, I'm taking Wilson all night long. Like that's what I would do.
I'll probably argue. I might get shot down here, but I'd probably argue the same against Bamford as well. I'd rather have Wilson than Bamford in Newcastle squad. I really would.
Yeah, I think I probably would as well. Actually, I think
I probably would, but Bamford's really done well this season, hasn't he? To be fair,
of course he has. But you've got to look at the reasoning for that is because Leeds have been all out. They have every single game they've approached attack. Wilson, there's been times where you've seen him touch the ball twice in a game.
Yeah.
And that's down to the setup. So I think if you put Wilson in that Leeds squad, he's scoring double what he has already.
Yeah.
Back to the game, though. So, over you, Mark. At what point did you start shitting yourself that we were going to draw that game or even lose that game? Because in true Newcastle United style, we made it a little bit difficult for ourselves.
Well, I got twitchy before we went 3-up because Perez came on, and I thought, here we go. He's going to come back to haunt us. But I think obviously we went 4-up, didn't we? They and then just
I got a twitch and it went 4-0, Mark. I tell you that.
I definitely had that. But we went 4-0 up, and then we just took our foot off the gas, didn't we? And just allowed them to come back into the game, and then they get that first goal, and I've got to say, like, for the first goal, Murphy gets turned inside out, down in the corner, which no fault of his really. It was just very, very good play from Leicester. But then the ball goes into Vardy, and we just stand off him. We just allow Vardy to have the ball in the box, and just then he's got time to get his head up, and then he plays it across, and then look, you can't take anything away from the finishing from Albrighton. He hits it lovely from the edge of the box, outside of his boot, and it bends it into the top corner, and it is a fantastic finish. And then that obviously gives them a spark, and they taste a little bit of blood, and then
7
that's
minutes.
when it
two goals
starts,
in 7 minutes.
Yeah, that's when it starts kind of coming into fruition, and you start getting very, very twitchy, especially when the second one from Iñárritu, who then
I'll go back to our goalkeeper. I want to go back. There was a comment earlier on. I can't go all the way back, but there was a comment, Besty, saying, should Dubravka do better for any of those goals? For me, those are both great strikes, and
yeah,
I think you look at the best goalkeepers in the world, and they get nowhere near those strikes.
I thought with the first one at the time, I thought when I saw it first time round, I thought, I wonder if he should do better with that. But then when you see it, the view from, I think it's from behind Albrighton, the way he's hit it, he's cut across it a bit. It's kind of bending towards the corner, and the power on it, the height on it. There's just no way you can do anything about that. The second one, I think, actually takes a bit of a touch on the way through, doesn't it? Because it's right in the bottom corner.
Dominic Ritchie.
Oh,
yeah, I think he's unsighted a bit for that one, like
a little bit. I think I don't. I don't think he can do anything about either of them. To be honest with you, I think he's just beaten. And that's what it is, really.
Yeah. So I will stay with you, Besty, before we move over to Deka there. So we're 4-2 up at this point, and we've already mentioned this, but Perez gets that chance. If that goes in, what's the words I'm looking for? If that goes in,
deep in the
what
injury
happens with the
time,
rest of
isn't
that
it?
game? Yeah, what happens with the rest of that game? Because
Everything.
you know for fine well it's going to be similar to Newcastle v Everton, where we just started lumping the ball up top and hoping for the best.
It's a horrible. Was it? It was 90 minutes of being and gone, hadn't it? When he gets that chance,
Yeah, it was
they scored their
94th,
second.
I think it was.
They scored their second in the 87th.
It's enough. There's in those 6 minutes of injury time as well. I remember.
Yeah, so I remember we scored 2 in injury time against Everton.
If that one goes in, then I'm panicking. Like I think that if you've already thrown away a 4-0 lead and it's now 4-3, and there's another, I can't remember exactly the time, so let's say another 4 or 5 minutes of injury time. You think, well, if there's another goal, it's only going one way. We aren't scoring again here. And yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised if 4-3 became 4-4 very quickly. Had that gone in, but fortunately, Dubravka does as well as he possibly could do with it. It was an excellent save. And Perez didn't do it wrong either. I thought he just kind of all he could do was try and get it on target. And he did. His foot's about 10 foot in the air trying to put it in, and it was it was just.
He did very well to get anything on it, like Perez.
I thought he did.
You've got to give him his dues because it's kind of like behind him as well.
Yeah.
He's got to like twist his body and drag it round. It's
underrated player, Perez, for me. Like
it hurts me to say that.
But I think if it's 4-3, then it ends up 4-4 at least, or maybe it's about 7-4 Leicester, because no one does a collapse quite like Newcastle.
So yeah, I just obviously in the game itself, of course, Newcastle, it did end in 4-2 in Newcastle, and those 3 points were huge. And to get those 3 points against a team who's challenging the top 3 really in the Premier League, I'm not sure where they're sat right now, but they're all challenging the 4th now. So they were challenging to basically finish in the Champions League spots, and rightly so, because Leicester, I do like Leicester as a football club. I like their team. I like the fan base. I really do, and I think I really appreciate when a team breaks up that top 6. I love it when it could be any team. I don't care who it is. If somebody's breaking that, apart from Everton, then I don't
like goal music and clappy plastic things and stuff, mind.
Yeah, but I have to turn a blind eye to that, mate. Unfortunately, I have to. But I just think it just proved that we do have something there as a team, and the players do have something, and to go and get that sort of result against Leicester and that sort of performance, and we've barely touched on it, but Wilson's second goal, that team goal, is amazing, absolutely amazing.
Every single player touched it, didn't it?
Yeah, it's great.
You know what it is, right? I have to say something here. So we've obviously had the loads of jokes about Bruce Ball, and we've seen some real horrible football, right? But that goal in isolation was magnificent. Every player touched the ball. The pass from Almiron, man, that pass, and then the first touch from Wilson. I know he hits the post, but I actually thought the finish was difficult. You know, and he's aside the angle, tight, right? Yeah, tight angle.
How lucky can you get though, Deka? To the point that it hits off the post and just lands back at him. That doesn't happen.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right, mate. Honestly, you're right.
Them two had got slightly ahead of me on the stream. And like they were like, oh, yes, and I'm like, what's going on? I felt like you the other week with it happening.
Mark, when I was watching the live watch along, I was around about 4 seconds ahead of yous, and like obviously I saw the goals first, and I watched the goals. I was like, yes, go on, like just waiting for your reaction. Unbelievable.
I thought I just want to briefly say about Dubravka there. Sorry, was the second goal. I know I've gone back here. I was just really disappointed in the defending because we had 2 men over on that side, and we all know that lad's left-footed, and they let him come inside almost twice and then have a shot. It's very poor defending that. You've got to show him down the line. When you're one-on-one, I know sometimes it can be difficult, but we had Richie, and was it Dummett? Sorry,
Richie and Dummett. Yeah.
If there's 2 ears, surely between the both of you can send them down the line. So that was my only disappointment on that goal. But
remember, that's maybe been a bit gets caught really square on. He's kind of facing the sideline, and he just knocks it past him, and he gets caught far too square. Far too square,
yeah. That's what I thought. But the bottom line, to me, being honest here, to me that was like the old Newcastle of like, you know, it's entertaining game. We've scored more than you type of attitude, if that makes sense. Yeah. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it was a long time coming.
So obviously, what I want to mention, I think there's a couple of players that we need to give a special mention to. One of them is, I speak about this lad every single week, and my admiration for him is Federico Fernandez. I just honestly, we're not expecting him. So no, Fernandez, I wish he had been at this club for longer. I really do, because we all love Colaccini. In Colaccini's time, he had one poor season. I'd probably say maybe 2 with Colaccini. But Fernandez, I really, really wish that he had been long-term serving at this football club, because there's just something about him that I love. I really do. Yeah. He's an old school centre-back, and I just love that about him. And Besty, I feel as if you want to have a comment on this one.
I do. I love him as well. And I've said before that like when he signed, I was a bit underwhelmed, and I thought, God, he's just gone down with Swansea. I thought he was about 35, 36 years old at the time, you know, and I thought, it's making up the numbers. It's a signing for the sake of a signing. And I was completely wrong. There's a photo of them all in the dressing room at full time. That was doing the rounds on Twitter on Friday, Saturday, and he's sitting there with his top. He's kind of like he's like the dad, almost like. He's got all the bands around. He's at a school party. He's got his top.
Carroll looked like a dad. On that photo, by the way.
It's weird how Carroll's fat but ripping at the same time. I couldn't even hear him.
I wish I
think it was the angle.
Like
I think the angle didn't help.
He looked heavy, but he looked ripping as well. I was like, how's that work? Yeah. But Fernandez it's like there's kind of madness going around him, and he's just sitting there kind of dead happy, like I've done my job. I think he's a great centre half. I agree with you, Kris. I wish I'd love him to have signed for us straight from Napoli when Swansea got him, because he's a really good steady centre half, and he seems to be a nice likeable lad as well.
Yeah, I think is his contract not up this season?
Yeah, he is out of contract.
I'm pretty sure he's out of contract. I might be wrong.
He was out of contract the year before, wasn't he? He was out.
We had a similar thing to Fabian Schär, mate, where we could extend it for a year, and I'm pretty confident that this is his last season on that contract. And whoever gets him now, if he goes for a free transfer, they're laughing, mate. They're absolutely laughing.
Yeah, do you think we'll let him go? Like,
I don't think we will. I
would hope we would try and keep him, mate. But you just never know with this football club. You never know.
He feels like his first choice for me at the minute.
I agree. But then I'll lead on to the next question. Is in regards to centre backs, Lejeune, obviously he's had a great season over. Where's he? Spain, isn't it? Is it Levante? Is that? Or have I just made that up?
Eibar, I think.
I think we get this wrong every single. We get this wrong every single week.
I'm sure we signed him from Levante
every week. Like
every week we get it wrong. I'm pretty sure it's not. Who is it? Somebody will tell me. Right, somebody will tell me where Lejeune's at.
Blue and white stripes. I can.
That's
Sheffield Wednesday.
They are Alaves.
It's Alaves, yeah. There's about 1 million comments came in saying Alaves. Definitely there.
I think it's Sevilla.
I think I don't think he'll be a Newcastle United player next season. I think he'll probably go. Which
Lejeune, you mean?
Yeah, Lejeune. And I do love Lejeune, but if I've got an option between Lejeune and Fernandez right now, I'd probably take Fernandez. What's your thoughts on it, Deka?
Ooh.
It's a real difficult one because I almost think
different as well. Different centre backs as well, aren't there?
I would personally. I think Lejeune's a better centre half, if I'm honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I'm going to say that is because he's comfortable on the ball, and I love a centre half that's comfortable on the ball. However, the reason why I say it's a flip of a coin is we don't really know. Can you, if you can guarantee that we get the Lejeune that we signed, then of course let's do it. But I don't believe we're going to get that Lejeune, truthfully, and that's slight on Lejeune. I just think that's what it is.
It's his fitness, isn't it? You know, is he going to be able to stay healthy over the course of a contract?
And he's been in Spain, which, don't get us wrong, is technical, and I get it. It's not as fast and furious as what the Premier League is. It's not as demanding as the Premier League is, in my opinion. So I just don't think that. I just don't think he'll come back. And the question I've got, when you've said that there, and you'll probably throw a name straight at us here, and I'll get it all wrong. When has a player went on loan to come back and be a success?
For us, I mean, a lot of young lads, I suppose. You could say Dummett.
He's recent, isn't he?
Murphy, yeah.
Perhaps Murphy, yeah, that's a good shout. That is a good shout.
You don't get many, like, obviously Shearer's not one of them. Oh, by the way, Fulham got beat, so we're all right.
That was days. Get your party poppers out, Kris.
Nah, not this time, mate.
But there's not many, like, big, like, Les Ferdinand and Alan Shearer that's gone away on loan. But there's the young lads who've done it, and like I say, Jacob Murphy's one.
Dummett, the Longstaffs have done it.
Paul Dummett, yeah. Pretty much all the young lads that come doing, they go on loan somewhere, don't they? I suppose.
I mean, I can't think of a player that's gone when they're like 27, 20, however old he is, by the way, and then come back and then slot back in again. I just can't see it personally. I just can't see it.
Yeah. Right. So just obviously what's happened in the last few minutes. So Fulham have now been relegated from the Premier League. They've lost against Burnley there, which means Newcastle United are safe. And so, lads, I'm literally chucking this out of the blue ears. I know I haven't prepared for this one. But Mark Walker.
Oh, full name.
Sum up this season in one word. I don't know why I came to you first, because you always need a little bit of time.
Inconsistent.
Okay. Deka, sum this season in one word.
Disappointing.
Mm-hmm. Besty?
Shite.
Shite. Yeah, we'll take shite. Yeah.
It's been shite at what safe with 3 games to go.
You said one word.
That's one word.
Just shite. We'll take shite. We'll take shite. I'm going to go for uninspiring.
Yeah, bar a couple of exceptions, really, isn't it?
Yeah. We expect too much.
We do expect too much, which leads us on to the next thing. Obviously, that's done and dusted. We're not going to make an absolute party out of Newcastle United being safe in the Premier League, because this should have been secured weeks and weeks and weeks ago. We should never be in this sort of position with the players.
The strange thing is all 4 of us have just said that, but we've now got, not like looking at that table, we could still go on to actually get more points than we did last season and finish higher than we did last season. And there's no way I would have thought that would have been the situation if I went back in time a couple of weeks.
The problem is with that, Mark,
the Brighton game, haven't we? And
the problem is with that, Mark, is I get what you're saying with points and being higher in the league, but it's going to be the same next season. That's my frustrating, that we're going to go through all of this again next season, probably.
We have done for every year, though.
Well,
every single year is the same, and it's been this forever. And we all know why that is. It's because of one man. We all know.
Yeah, of course. Right, so Besty, you mentioned Newcastle United are expecting too much there, so I will stay with you and come back to you on this one. Steve Bruce made an appearance on TalkSport today. He's hid the shadows for God knows how long in regards to media appearances, but when the day comes when Newcastle United can secure safety, and that it's going to take an absolute miracle for Fulham to stay up in the Premier League, Steve Brooks makes an appearance. He comes out of the woodwork, mate, and sum that interview up, mate, because I haven't seen it. I haven't listened to it in full. I've seen little snippets, mate. I'm not sure if you have, but I'm guessing you've probably seen the same snippets as what I have.
I've seen nothing. I refuse to watch anything to do with TalkSport. So I've seen it.
So has anybody listened to the snippets? Deka, you did.
Yeah, me and Deka have.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So Deka summarizes it just for us. What was Steve Bruce trying? Which show was he on first of all? So it was TalkSport, but which presenters?
Well, Simon Jordan was on, and the arsehole that used to wear the ties on transfer deadline day.
Jim White.
Jim White. Yeah.
And
I
love how he just said also with a tie, and everyone across the world will know who he's talking about.
I should have knew who he was, Jim White. Sorry, yes, but I didn't do that for comedy. I just couldn't remember his name. Yeah, I mean, obviously, the in a nutshell, obviously he mentioned that he tried to play the card of, I've said judges when I've had my full strength team and we'll be safe, etc., etc. The main part that obviously people have jumped on is him saying that it's the expectations up there, and he's mentioned of the days of signing Alan Shearer for world record fees, and that's what the fans obviously still have. It was almost like they still hold that. And again, it's to be honest, why it does annoy everyone, and including myself, by the way, is it's what the pundits have been saying. You know what I mean? It's what the people that aren't educated on what we actually are asking for have been thrown at every single weekend on every show. Every newspaper cutting their says the same kind of shit. And then you've got your own manager saying exactly that. And that's where it was like, and he said, I understand that owners of football clubs and football managers will get criticism. And I understand that because it's the game that we're in. But he said some of it's been uncalled for. And, I did say would be fine and would accumulate enough points and all that type of jazz, you know what I mean? But it was, as I said, I put this on Twitter, my honest opinion was what he said. It did annoy us, but I wasn't. The reason why I wasn't so frustrated is because it was what I expected. I knew he'd come out and say that. I knew he would, but it was the timing of it. Like when we were 2-20, he wasn't running on TalkSport having a little chat. Then he's done it when, in fairness, we have had a decent run of form. We've lost, we've only lost 2 out of the last 10, and all the rest of it. But it's always nice and easy to come out of the woods, then, isn't it? And I think that's what annoyed me more than anything. He's come on with his friends who were on this show when we're going to be safe, and now I'll come out and be the hero and spout my mouth. And that's what I didn't like, personally.
Yeah.
And it's what wound me up was the fact that it was very, oh, woe is me. It was all loads of stuff around, like,
always is,
I've been very, very hard done by there. That, like, the most unbelievable bit about the entire interview, though, was that he said that the vast majority of people that he speaks to says that he's done a very, very good job and they all wish him luck and stuff like that, which, I'm sorry, if he's walking around the streets of Newcastle, there ain't no way everybody's going up to him and saying, what a great job you've done, Steve, and telling them, what was it, they tell us to take no notice of the rubbish that they hear because they all back him. Nonsense. He made that whole thing up, but it was the whole, as I say, the woe is me. He was moaning about Craig Hope as well, and the fact that the journalists didn't want him there, and that he'd been causing problems and stuff like that. But yeah, it just played into that massive thing that we've had to put up for week after weeks after weeks around the whole of the pundits, his pals in the media, bigging him up, saying what a great job he's doing, and that we're giving him grief when that's
giving him a false sense of achievement, isn't it, mate?
Absolutely, yeah. And that's what it was. It's like he was almost being self-congratulatory, saying, I've done a great job in face of all this adversity, of all the negativity that's going around. And then, as we've just mentioned there, thrown in that whole the expectations that he has on his shoulders. Which
what I was surprised at, he had an opportunity there, and someone's mentioned about the relationship with fans. Obviously that was burnt to the ground the minute he signed the paperwork to take the job, if I'm honest. But today, honestly, he had an opportunity today, I think, to be honest. Well, he was honest in his way, but to say, like, do you know what it is? This club being 17th or 14th or whatever 15th, that is not where the club should be. And we should be doing better. I should have done better. I actually think a lot of fans go, it's actually fair enough. You're not good enough for the job, but you're right in what you say. But for him to almost claim it as a victory that we've stayed in the division, and we've been here year after year, and we should be happy with that. I thought that was just what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
so I think Bessie, what he should have done if he had anything about him, if he had a brain, right, and wanted to get fans on board, he would have went down the same route as what Rafa did when he was getting interviewed by Jamie Carragher. I think it was after the Leicester when we had secured safety against Leicester last time. Rafa came out and said, "We shouldn't be celebrating this. We should be better than what we are." And Bruce didn't do that. He done the complete opposite, basically saying that this is Newcastle United. This is where we've been for the X amount of years, and basically this is it. No hope for the future, mate. There's nothing. There's no project there. There's no ambition there. Not just as a owner, as a football club, but now as the manager.
It's true. If Steve Bruce is as good as he can do as manager, just pack it and start again. He's not good enough. He's not a Premier League manager. He's got a squad of players there who are better than 15th with you at the minute. We'll talk about Callum Wilson, Sam Maximan, Martin Dubravka, Federico Fernandez. They shouldn't be. Miguel Almiron, yeah. A lot of them. Joe Willock, who's only on loan, shouldn't be playing for a side that are looking over their shoulder with 3 games to go. And we've been in the Premier League for 4 seasons now, and there's absolutely no reason that we should approach every season like a newly promoted club. And we'll do the same. Kris, you said earlier, we'll do it next year where we'll be going, we'll be finished 16th, 17th again this year, and that's good enough for Ashley and Bruce. That's not good enough for first season back up, fair enough. I'm sure Sheffield United, Fulham and West Brom just came up last summer with Leeds. They would have snapped your hand off for 16th, 17th the way things have turned out. But Aston Villa won't want it. Villa finished 17th next year, and they've been up for less time than us, don't forget. They're not going to be going for it. It's okay. Dean Smith's still doing a great job. Or Wolves, if they finish 17th next season, or 15th to 17th, they're not going to be going, Nuno's still a man for the one change. You want to see a club progress, and that's not unrealistic expectations. How dare he, for me, it's a bloke who purports to be a Newcastle fan, coming out with that shite, you can get in the bin for me,
Yeah, Bessie, this comment speaks volumes as well. I'm not sure if it's true, but I probably wouldn't put it past him. But apparently he accepted the TalkSport interview, but not Radio Newcastle, where he would have been asked harder questions. We've saw previous managers go on Radio Newcastle with Raisbeck and Simon Pride and John Anderson. We've seen it with Alan Pardew and John Carver went, and that was a great interview that they did. I think they were there for around about 3 hours answering fans' questions. Rafa did it. I'm pretty sure Rafa did it as well.
Went on as well, didn't he?
Stain went on
and told them to fuck off.
I just don't give a fuck. Yeah. If Steve Bruce was as much as a Newcastle fan and a local lad, you think that he would be appearing on the platforms, the local platforms, so the likes of Radio Newcastle, that has a show every single night dedicated to North East football. You think that you would go on there? Definitely,
and for him to go on TalkSport with it, the hacks on TalkSport,
it's all pally, isn't it?
You've got Simon Jordan, he's renowned. He's not worth listening to. Well, Jim White's I don't want to say something that's going to get us into trouble, but that just
go on, Besty. Go on.
I'm not. The only reason TalkSport exists is to annoy people enough to get in the ring in, and that's exactly. And Steve Bruce does he know that, or is he just stupid enough to kind of go along with what they're saying to him? I don't know, but it's not to congratulate yourself as a manager of a club for his second season at Newcastle. He's just managed to keep them up. And he's given it 6 now. He's got his little lad out and stuff, and he's having a go at it. Nah, that's not good enough. That's not.
It's literally gone. He's basically gone to his own birthday party there, mate, and he's wanted to appear on something where they're going to blow smoke up his arse and put him on some sort of pedestal. And you would think if he was going on a platform like Radio Newcastle, where you know for fine well they're going to open that up to fans calling in, that it would be a complete different atmosphere. And he's scared of that, mate. He's scared of that. And he's got a big shock coming his way next week, because fans are allowed back in the ground. And what's the best thing that Steve Bruce could do now as Newcastle United manager, despite securing safety, which, of course, great. We're not celebrating it, but great. We're going to be a Premier League team next year. What Steve Bruce needs to do now is stop talking, because the more he talks, the more he adds fuel to the fire, because that interview today is absolutely horrendous.
The day he leaves is a good day for the football club, a great day for the football club. The best thing he could do is piss off, but he won't do it, will he?
In fairness, that's
he's not a
what you always say
quitter, is
about
he?
what the things that he could do and all that. That's the one. He's kept what up. You move on. You leave.
Yeah.
That's it. Because we know that we're going to be here next season. There's no question. But I think you've seen the club deteriorate yet again from the season before. And as Besty pointed out, which is bang on, is that the players in the team that we've got are certainly better. I'm not saying finishing 7th or 8th, by the way, but certainly better to be comfortable from looking over your shoulder every bloody week. Surely.
Yeah. Right, lads. I'm done. Unless you've got anything that you want to talk about tonight. I think we've covered quite a lot of things.
Well, true. I know we've ended on a massive negative there, but like for all I know, it's nothing to celebrate. I am still very pleased, like because I always will go back to that Brighton game and say I thought we were done and dusted at that point.
Yeah.
So I am honestly happy that we're still in the division. Friday night was a real surprise and a great performance, like a really good performance. So for all we know, longevity wise, it's a lot of negativity. The recent couple of hours, if you like, or a few days, it's actually been really good for a nice change. So
that was a really good game on Friday night as well. It was like Deka said. I mean, I wouldn't say the quality was the same as the entertainers out like, but it wasn't. I could imagine someone, a Southampton fan with no skin in the game, sitting watching that on Friday and thinking, that was a good game. That like really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I enjoyed watching Newcastle, and it's kind of that's nice. Also, happy anniversary, Metro Marty.
Yes, happy anniversary, Metro Marty.
All the best, aye.
How many years was it?
40 odd, wasn't it? 46, aye. Yeah, 46, 47, something like that.
I just told my dad about it the day. I'm sure my dad said it was about 46, aye. So,
was your dad at the wedding, Besty?
I don't believe my dad would only be about 10 then, like so.
All right, okay.
If it was 46 years, but my dad's 63, so like, he would have been there.
So see, your dad must have had you young.
Beautiful lads are the best.
Right, boys, it's been a pleasure as always. Thanks to everybody who has been watching this video tonight. As always, if you do want to subscribe to the channel, it means a lot to us. If you want to like the video, even better. And if you've even got to spare £3, £5 to spare every month, please do become a member, because it is going to help us out massively. You don't realize how much that is going to help us out, because we have been grafting our arses off for the last couple of weeks. But all that will be announced in due time.
Well,
Besty has
some of us have. Some of us have.
Besty's doing his best impression with the flag.
Just be getting to the BB, that's pretty much it. Right?
But yeah, thanks very much. There is big news coming. We can't say too much just yet, but there is big news coming, and hopefully will be within the next 7 days. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Buy a pin badge. See you later.
We won you now.
Safe you now.
We're safe you now. That's the one,